Late Night Health continues. I'm Mark Allen. I'm really happy to bring Stephen Sinatra back. Dr. Stephen Sinatra. He's been on the show numerous times. He's a cardiologist and best-selling author of Heartbreak and Heart Disease. And we're going to talk about unsuspecting bad habits that could weigh more heavily on the heart than you realize. Dr. Sinatra, welcome back to Late Night Health.
Great to be here, Mark.
We always have a really good time, but this is serious. Heart disease kills more people, both men and women, I'm pretty certain, than even cancers. Am I correct in that?
Oh, you're absolutely correct. It's the number one killer of both men and women. In fact, with women, it used to be breast cancer years ago, but now it's, 1 in 8 or 9 people, women will die of breast cancer, but 1 in 2.5 to 3 will die of heart disease. That's how prevalent it is.
It's amazing to me because that both men and women in this 21st century are still having these heart conditions. I recently went through a battery of tests because cardiovascular disease is common in my family, and I was advised to do that, and I did, and I passed apparently with flying colors. Most people, both men and women, don't take the time to have those tests, do they?
Right, yeah. It's very important, and it's even more important since the Biogenome Project discovered our DNA, and going back probably more than 20 years, when these 3 researchers won the Nobel Prize. But since that time, there's been a lot of genetic inheritance demonstrating that if you have anybody in your family with a heart attack or a stroke that's, young, I would say below 60, there's certain blood tests that you need to get done. And with the new genetic tests, it's really great that you can determine, where you have these weaknesses, whether it's homocysteine or LP(a) or fibrinogen or ferritin. I mean, these are tests that, any doctor could do now and determine, if you are at an enhanced risk or not.
These are the most of the cardiologists test for cholesterol and
right.
And those levels.
Unfortunately, that's sort of a dinosaur. You're absolutely right.
So, are these tests commonplace with, I'll say, traditional doctors or not?
Yeah, I mean, they are common, but again, like if you take one risk factor like LP(a), which is a very, very small cholesterol particle, there's really no drugs that treat it, so a lot of doctors don't order the test. They'll order cholesterol, and we need cholesterol, especially in this day and age of, multiple toxins and, increased Alzheimer's disease and stuff like that. I mean, cholesterol protects the brain. It's the source of our hormones. And look, in a pandemic, one of the most important things in a pandemic is vitamin D. And
Absolutely.
Where do you get vitamin D from? Well, when the sun hits the skin, the UV light that sort of penetrates the skin combines with cholesterol to form vitamin D3. So we need cholesterol, and unfortunately, sometimes we need to lower it, but not as much as we think we should lower it.
Well, you live in Florida, and I'm going to assume near the water. And so
I ground every day near the water. In fact, when I finish this broadcast today, I'm going to walk the beach and do a little grounding.
And when you do that, do you put sunscreen on or not?
No, I don't. No, I wear a hat and basically I wear shorts, and I like to take in at least 30 minutes of sunlight because that's where you get your vitamin D. Now, if you use a sunblock, these sunblocks, a lot of them can cause skin cancer. People don't realize that because they contain a lot of carcinogens. I mean, if you're going to use a sunblock, you got to use what the lifeguards used, decades ago, that white zinc oxide. So that's the best form of a sunblock to use because it's not absorbed into the body.
It's. I guess people don't like it because it's that white pasty stuff that when you and I were growing up, lifeguards always wore on their nose.
Correct. And that's the safest sunblock to really use because, again, you don't want to absorb the, those sprays that people put on their kids and those creams that, they douse themselves with because a lot of those constituents are absorbed through the skin and into the bloodstream.
You talked about walking barefoot. I love being barefoot. I'm barefoot all the time. I go outside. I walk on my lawn. I walk in my house. I'm barefoot. I really like being on the grass, or I'd love to be on the beach barefoot because it's healing.
Yes.
Right? Can you tell us about that?
It's probably the simplest mechanism you can do to crush the fires of inflammation. In other words, we're all inflamed today. I mean, everybody's got issues with inflammation, whether it's bacteria or killer viruses or insecticides or pesticides or heavy metals or bisphenol A or particles found in food. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So since we are inflamed, we need to consider measures to reduce the chronic, relentless inflammation in the body. And one of the best ways of lowering the inflammatory load is basically to walk barefoot. And the best place to walk barefoot, Mark, is really the sand. When the ocean is, when the sea is coming in, like an incoming tide, for example. I mean, you can walk on an outgoing tide as well. It doesn't make a difference. But I like to have the wetness of the sand because the ocean is full of minerals, and when the sand is wet, not only are you taking into human resonance what we call the grounded electrical potential, but you're also taking in loads and loads of minerals as well. So walking barefoot, you get so many advantages. Not only the antioxidant support, but the immune support and the mineral support as well.
Of course, your ocean water is much warmer than my ocean water. So my ocean water is very cold, but your sand would be warmer too.
That's correct. I mean, here in Florida, it's, one of the reasons why I moved to Florida and then I ended up moving to the seashore is because when I did the research on grounding, I believed it so much that I realized that since it's free and it's the most natural anti-inflammatory of all time, why not take advantage of it? It's very, very important.
Absolutely. We're going to continue our conversation. We're going to talk about going to bed after midnight. We're going to talk about, we've talked about barefoot. One of the biggest problems, I believe, facing America today, if not all of the Western world, is loneliness. The number of dating apps.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Everybody is looking for that special someone. And there's dating apps and online dating and hookups and all kinds of things so that people won't be lonely. So we'll talk about that. And we'll probably talk about maybe a supplement or two that people can think about taking to help with the heart as well. I'm Mark Allen, along with the insane Daryl Wayne. We invite you to visit us at latenighthealth.com. That's latenighthealth.com. Don't go away. We have more coming up with Dr. Sinatra.
listening to Late Night Health right now, you're part of the growing target of baby boomers we're serving. Hi, I'm Daryl Wayne, producer of Late Night Health, inviting you to join the Late Night Health family. If you have any business targeting the growing boomer market, Late Night Health is the ideal advertising vehicle for you. From vitamins to insurance, alternative health to Western-style medicine, Late Night Health caters to the growing population of those over 40 years old. This vibrant demographic has expendable income to fight aging, purchase travel, take care of aging parents, or just have fun. Find out about the advertising opportunities with Late Night Health. Call us at 805-391-0308. That's 805-391-0308, or email us at info@latenighthealth.com. That's info@latenighthealth.com. Join Late Night Health as we empower people to take charge of their own health care. Call now at 805-391-0308. That's 805-391-0308.
Late Night Health is proud of our partnership with the EBC, the Evolutionary Business Council. Check them out at ebcouncil.com.
You're listening to Late Night Health with Mark Allen. The show continues in a moment.
Role models. They can make all the difference. In our world today, they have never been more important. One of the nation's most successful mentoring organizations is Jewish Big Brothers Big Sisters of Los Angeles. Their mission is to assist youth in achieving their full potential through innovative and impactful programs. And no nonprofit agency does it better. Jewish Big Brothers Big Sisters of LA serves Jewish children, boys and girls in our local community with a mentoring program that's been going strong since 1915. That's only the beginning. This nationally known agency owns and operates Camp Bob Waldorf. Its summer camping and weekend retreat programs enrich the lives of youth throughout Greater Los Angeles. Then there's a college support program, and last but not least, work that helps kids all over the world through the Teen Talk app. Want to learn more? Go to jbbbsla.org. Donate. Get involved. There's no better way to make a difference. Recently, I met Jacqueline from Bright here in Los Angeles. She gave me a hearing exam and then showed me how to hear again with the new Signia Pure Series hearing aids, and she can give you your life back too. I hear birds chirping, birds cooing, and even my wife. They easily connect to my smartphone. The Signia hearing aids are amazing, and with the charge and go, I don't have to fiddle with batteries and hear all day long. Not hearing is frustrating for you and your family. I know you don't have a problem, but trust me, call Bright Here now for a free hearing exam, a $125 value, yours free, just for making an appointment now. There are offices throughout the Los Angeles area. Call Bright Here now at 323-424-7100. That's 323-424-7100 for a free hearing exam. There's no obligation. Call now, 323-424-7100, or visit them on the web at brighthere.com.
Sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Words are a critical aspect of success. How you get your point across is a crucial part of what makes anything sell. So do it right and hire a writer. Whether it's articles, blog posts, technical writings, website content, product descriptions, or ghostwriting anything from a novel to a nonfiction book about your navel, contact Servet Hassan. If you want it to sell, write it right. Email Servet at servet@servethassan.com.
Late Night Health continues. I'm Mark Allen, along with the insane Daryl Wayne. We're talking about heart health, and our guest is Dr. Stephen Sinatra. He's the author of the best-selling book, Heartbreak and Heart Disease, the #1 killer here in the United States, both men and women. If my genetics are predisposed for cardiovascular issues, can I use epigenetics to combat what God has given me?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And remember this: the environment trumps everything. So if you've been dealt a bad set of genes, Mark, what you eat, what time you go to bed at night, how much stress you're under, all this stuff, how high your blood pressure is. I mean, the list goes on and on. But environment trumps genetics, so I'm all in favor of using lifestyle characteristics to reduce, favorable lifestyle characteristics to reduce our risk.
I tend to go to bed about 11 o'clock, around 11. If I'm
around 11, well, you know what?
What?
If you go to bed at 11 or just before 11, you're hitting the best sweet spot in preventing cardiovascular disease. I got to tell you, Mark, I always believed that it was the number of hours of sleep that was very important. Being a heart specialist, I was a midnight hero lots of times,
right.
Working in the middle of the night on call, dealing with emergencies. And I never thought about what time going to bed was important. I always thought, if you got 5, 6, 7 hours of sleep, that was sufficient. But an article came out that really, really moved me. It was only a few months ago. It came out of the European Heart Journal. And what they looked at what time you went to bed. In other words, was there a sweet spot in going to bed at night where if they looked at thousands and thousands of people, and actually the number of people was 88,000, and these were people from ages 43 to 79, so, it was a solid middle-aged elderly group. And basically what it said, the data was very simple. Over this period of 5 years, about a little more than 3,000 people out of the 88,000, number got heart attacks or heart disease. And when they looked at the data, they realized that most of the heart attacks were associated when people went to bed after midnight or before 9 o'clock at night. So if you went to bed too early or if you went to bed too late, you tended to get more heart disease. And I looked at this, and there was a similar study that was published a few months earlier about heart failure, and it said the same thing. And as a heart specialist, I resonated with it, and I said to my wife, I said, Jan, after reading this, we're going to go to bed between 10 and 11 o'clock at night because that's the sweet spot going forward in preventing cardiovascular disease. So for your listeners, it's another lifestyle tip. And that's what it's all about, Mark. It's getting favorable lifestyle tips in your column. The more you have, the less incidence of heart disease in that individual.
The fact is, I do go to bed at 11. By the time I fall asleep, it may not be. Well, it depends. But yesterday I got up extremely early, so my head hit the pillow and I was out, but that's unusual for me. I'll read for a while and I'll fall asleep and I'll wake up maybe 5 or 6 hours later if I'm lucky. I don't.
Hey, that's good. Listen, if you're falling asleep at about 11:15, 11:20, I mean that's still you're in that area. If you fall asleep after midnight, that was the worst for people getting heart disease. So, my advice to you would be, try to go to bed a little bit earlier, maybe at 10 minutes to 11 or a quarter to 11, and see what happens. I mean, the amount of risk was so low at 10 to 11. The risk was like 12%, but the risk after midnight was like over 25%. So you're sort of doubling your risk when you go to bed after midnight, and when it comes to cardiovascular disease, you want to keep your risk as minimal as possible.
What about falling asleep? That's the challenge, and then staying asleep. And I don't want to take, I've taken sleep aids in the past. I really don't like them because you wake up the next day and you're groggy all day, and they're not really good for you. And most of them have the active ingredient in Benadryl as the sleep inducer.
Yeah, it'll dry your membranes up. I mean, I'm a big proponent of melatonin. I really like melatonin. I like ashwagandha. That's sort of an herb that helps to reduce emotional stress. But melatonin is fantastic, especially in this pandemic. You know, there's lots of good literature to show that melatonin has antiviral properties as well. And remember this, Mark. We talked about sunlight, and in a previous conversation. When we go out in the sun, the two antioxidants that are used up immediately within a half hour are melatonin and coenzyme Q10. So, melatonin is one of those antioxidants that does a lot of rescue in the body. So if you have listeners who find it difficult to sleep at night, that they're involved with a lot of self-talk, or they're nervous or they're anxious, taking 1 to 5 or 6 or 7 milligrams of melatonin, and you can experiment with it, is very, very safe. And I would recommend it. I mean, I think melatonin has a lot of good hidden agendas that are really good for the body.
And the ashwagandha is also good. Really quickly, as we're wrapping up our show today, being a loner, I made the statement that I think loneliness is one of the major problems facing Americans, if not the world today. Why is that so important regarding heart health?
Well, we need, connections in our life, especially vital connections. I mean, one of the things that used to bother me as a heart specialist is I would see people who were married for decades and all of a sudden lose their partner, and they would go into severe depressions. So we need contact, and what the pandemic has done, it caused social isolation. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of suicides. There's a lot of depression that comes up, a lot of panic. Panic is a really an undesirable emotion, because in a panic, one can do crazy things like commit suicide. So it's important that we, look at loneliness. And again, I would tell people to one of the best ways of warding off loneliness, if you've lost partners in your life, is to get a pet. I think pets bring a lot to the table. I mean, the unconditional love that a cat or a dog can bring a person is incredible. And a lot of my elderly people who lost spouses, who adopted pets, they would come to my office and give me a hug and a kiss and say, "Thanks, Dr. Sinatra. I didn't realize how beautiful my pet is, because it makes me want to live again, because it gives me so much love, and that's what I need to keep me going." Love heals everything, Mark. It's unbelievable.
It does, and that's just it's unconditional love from a pet to its owner. Dr. Sinatra, thank you very much for joining us today. Dr. Sinatra is the author of Heartbreak and Heart Disease, and we'll have him back soon, I know. Have a great day, Doctor. Listen, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you, Daryl. I appreciate everything you do.
My pleasure.
And we will see you all next week. Have a great week. Have a good week. Most importantly, have a healthy week. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.